We've got three papers in front of us. We've got the Jewish Tribune, the Jewish Chronicle and the Jewish News, and they're from the 25th and the 26th of April.
But what appealed to me, going back to the newspapers, was this charity Tzedek, which I've got to be honest, I don't know too much about Tzedek, but basically what they're trying to do...
Actually, Tzedek, Maxine, just to interrupt. By the way, this broadcast is coming from J-Hub in North West London, and we must give them a plug for letting us host this event. And they used to work here in J-Hub.
Okay, so Tzedek basically, for some, the idea of a world free from hunger and poverty seems an impossible dream. So Tzedek are actually organising a week where it's called Live Below the Line, where you have to see if you can eat for a pound
I've read about
a day.
this in the Metro.
Well, that's really good that it's in the Metro, because the Metro is not even a Jewish magazine, it's a national magazine, so that's great. And I'm just trying to figure out, is that possible? And maybe I should do it. And I wonder what my kids' reactions
Is it possible to survive on £1?
It is if you're a student.
It is if you are
£1 a day.
I'm going to do it for £1 for each of my kids. We're going to have to be more vegetarian than not. There are some recipes here, and I'm going to see if I can do that. So that actually it was really appealing, and I think also it's
it's very, very important, Maxine, to highlight this, because I don't think we all appreciate, when we buy our £2.40 cups of coffee from Starbucks or from Costa, and there are only some people that can survive £1 a day. I don't think we really appreciate, do we?
Absolutely.
The other side of the coin.
Absolutely. And I think more importantly than us, my kids don't appreciate it. I mean, there's not a week that goes by. I mean, probably we all did it to our parents. That was, I don't want this to eat.
Yes.
And I just thought, well, actually...
plate full of greens if you don't want to eat it.
Yeah, well, fortunately, my kids do eat greens, so I don't know if it's not so hard. They eat salad. Yay. But this actually, Live Below the Line week starts Monday the 29th of April, which was actually yesterday. And we did eat for less than £1. I don't know what we're going to eat today. Maybe a bit of cereal. So we're going to try that. So that really appealed to me.
And Stephen, because obviously you're part of the Zionist Federation, there is poverty in Israel, isn't there, that people aren't aware of?
There is, and there's an organisation called Meir Panim, which actually looks into all of this in Israel. I mean, I've been, when I was in Israel a couple of years ago, to it was like a food bank, and we were helping out. And I mean, the number of people who live below the poverty line in Israel it's quite shocking in some ways, and they are looking to improve it, but it's not just in places you'd think. Also in Israel there's a lot of poverty, and I think these sort of campaigns which raises this issue of global poverty, it's a really effective way of getting a message across, because apart from obviously being in the Jewish papers, to get into the Metro, it's a way to pull people in. And I mean, it's also quite an innovative campaign, because I mean, I used to laugh and say, well, at university maybe I can survive on £1 a day, but you don't really think about it because there's always an extra £1, whereas for some people in developing nations, or even below the poverty line in Israel, that's just simply not the case. They've got £1, if not any more than that.
Absolutely.
I've got another story from the Jewish Tribune. There was a delegation of European rabbis that are discussing the rise of anti-Semitism in Europe. Have you ever suffered from anti-Semitism, Maxine?
Once.
Have you?
Yeah, once. I was in Torquay. I thought I was going to Newquay, and I thought I was going on a little holiday with my husband. And we get to Torquay, and we're walking along the beach, and somebody just came up to my husband, who's an Indian Jew, and made a very funny comment, which we laugh about now, but at the time really affected me. Oh, you parky black, he said. You parky black, get off our sand. And I never had any racist comments. I went to a non-Jewish school, I went to a Jewish school, and I'd never had anything. And in fact, actually, when I went to a non-Jewish school, I was celebrated for being Jewish. I was only one of 10. And it was a great thing. We were like, wow, the tourists. But in this case, it really, really affected me.
And Stephen, you went to a non-Jewish school as well.
Yes.
Did you have any anti-Semitism?
I mean, there was once. I mean, thankfully there wasn't a lot of examples, but there was once where school a bully made an anti-Semitic remark, which I can't really repeat on the camera because it was quite rude. But I mean, there was that experience. But I've been quite lucky. I mean, a lot of my friends are non-Jewish, and I mean, there's a dividing line because at university you got some anti-Israel stuff, but I'd hesitate to call it anti-Semitic.
Is being, and I'll put this first to Stephen, is being anti-Israel being anti-Semitic?
Not necessarily. No, not all people who are anti-Israel are anti-Semites, but a lot of anti-Semites will use Israel as a way of trying to hide their anti-Semitism. And a prime example of this, to me, is people like George Galloway. So, no, not all people who are anti-Israel are anti-Semites, but unfortunately it's sort of the growing trend in anti-Semitism is for people to use Israel to show their anti-Semitic opinions because they think they can get away with it that way.
Okay, and Stephen, do you have another story from Jewish Chronicle?
Yes, I do actually. It's the front page which caught my attention.
Front page, let's have a look at this, Maxine. The front page of the Jewish Chronicle, okay.
Basically on Iran and Syria, two countries which you can never really keep out of the news for, not for good reasons. It's wondering basically whether Israel may be forced to take action against Iran's nuclear program and due to Syria having chemical weapons against them. So it's just wondering if there is actually going to be a military strike anytime soon. I mean, I know there's always been talk about it for a couple of years, but it's got to a stage where it seems that it may be unavoidable.
What, action against Iran?
Yeah, I mean, personally, and this is my own personal opinion, I'm not sure military action would be the way to go. But if you're in Israel's position and the sanctions and diplomacy don't seem to work, you may feel forced to use military force.
Recently, Maxine and Stephen, I went to the Yom Ha'atzmaut Zionist Federation event at Wembley, and going through the event, there was protesters, demonstrators against what Israel stands for. And many people went up to these protesters, demonstrators and said, well, why aren't you protesting about what's happening to the people in Syria? You know, hundreds of thousands of Syrians have died. And it just seems that Europe and the world are just standing still and doing nothing. And protesters are outside Wembley, you know, and it's their democratic right to do that, absolutely. And if they feel that Israel's an apartheid state, that's their opinion. But also they should be standing outside Wembley protesting of what's happening in Syria.
What was the responses? Did you hear any of them? I'm curious to know.
To be quite honest, Maxine, no.
You just walk past, don't you?
No, Stephen?
I mean, I didn't hear that much because I was inside for most of it. But I did hear from a couple of our spokespeople that they didn't really want to engage in them because it's kind of like talking to a brick wall half the time because all you'll get back is a load of abuse. And it kind of almost reminds me of university whenever there was like a speaker on Israel, etc. We had a case where an Israeli embassy spokesperson spoke at Leeds Uni and there was rocks being thrown outside, etc. And I agree, I mean, what's going on in Syria is absolutely terrible. I feel so sorry for the people of Syria. Basically, this mass murder is killing thousands of his own people. And yes, they should be protesting against it.
And it just, because we were talking about the Holocaust maybe 10 minutes ago, and it just seems the world hasn't learnt lessons because you know, there's a Holocaust going on in Syria, and the world is doing nothing about it. Look, Stephen, thanks ever so much for joining this Jewish newspaper review pilot video. You can tweet Jewish Online if you like this and you want this repeated. Hopefully, Maxine and Stephen, obviously dependent on their time, will be regular panelists on this Jewish newspaper review. And thank you for watching. So it's tweet at Jewish Online, or you can text me on 0797 9604 with your comments. Once again, Max and Elias, good luck
Thank you.
for your charity event,
Party at the Palace.
Party at the Palace on
June the 23rd.